Her name is Joyce Ann Walton Rutherford. Jody, or Jody, like Cindy says, Jody. I was born August the 4th, 1932 in Lambton, Virginia. I was married, and my husband is deceased. He died in 1999. Stuart Barton, but everyone called him Teeny or Blue Nose. I have two. I have Tim and Kim. Well, now, all of a sudden you're going to ask me this. Let's see. I have Tim. He is married to Sue, and they have two children, and that's Ryan and Drew. And I have Kim, who's married to John, and they have Timbo, and John has Christine, Skylar, and Maya, who are my great-grandchildren. Oldest one I can remember my grandfather, and they called him Pop Walton, and he died when he was 96 years old, and I remember him well and was dearly loved. He was one of these people that was quiet, but when he spoke, he was the authority. He used to play Pedro, and when he knew he was winning, he would lay the deuce upon his head to know he'd set you. And he always wore his hat, smoked a cigar, and lost one finger when he was making a table for his wife, for a wash table, which I have the wash table. Not the finger, but the wash table. Biggest influence in my life, family or otherwise. My family, I guess my parents would have influenced me more. They had a big sense of family. We were a close-knit family with our children and our grandchildren, and they did too. And I guess I got the love of my family from them. Mildred and Earl Walton. Well, they were from Lambton, and they met and married there, and we lived there, and I was born in Lambton. My dad, well, he had many. My mother worked in the silk mill for a little while, but maybe a couple years, but mostly she was a housewife. My dad was a railroad conductor, both passenger and freight. And he owned the part owner of Highway Restaurant, and he owned a bunch of trucks that did hauling over. In fact, they built the Skyline Drive. Mm-hmm. I have one brother. It was Earl Hampton Walton Jr., and he's dead. And I have a sister, Patsy Walton Wall, who's visiting me right now. Mm-hmm. And we stay in close touch. Most vivid. I guess one of the funny things in vivid was we had to all go to the parties and dances that my dad and mom were involved with in the American Legion. And we'd leave our kids over to the house, which was just a half a block away, and we'd go over and check on them all the time. But one time, my dad said, my sister and I decided that we were going to wear really short skirts and go-go boots. And Dad said, "You're not going with us if you're going looking like that." And we said, "Oh yeah, that's the way we're going today." So we went with these real short skirts, and we got up on the stage and was singing and dancing. And a little while later, he joined us. So he had a good time with us, even though he told us we couldn't do it. With my parents, well, we used to do a lot of fun things. We used to go on rides every Sunday, and Mother would have to sit in the back, and Daddy and 3 kids would ride up front because we got car sick. And
Wow.
so we'd go, and they were just fun times. We'd go up to Shenandoah, and then we'd stop on the way back and have lunch. And he even stopped and wrestled a bear one day, and he
Oh, wow.
won. I say talents or gifts. I would say they had the ability to love. They loved their children and their grandchildren, and they that was their life. Well, they didn't like. I guess Dad didn't particularly like getting old, where he couldn't dance and do the things that he wanted to do. But when you say an obstacle, I can't think of anything other than
Yeah.
something like that, not being able to do the things that they love to
Love to
do.
do.
Well, there's a lot of things, and I keep going back to when Daddy was coming across for one night, and Mom came up and said, "Your dad is really limp and bad." And he was all dressed up in his white dinner jacket and everything. We'd been to a dance at the Elks, and he said, he came across, and I said, "Dad, what's the matter?" So I went over after Mother told me, so I went over there, and he said, "Damn shame anybody as good looking as I am and dressed as good as I do have these bad old legs." And I always think that's funny with him. Television, when that came, and
Yeah.
I remember television, and that's really going back. When we didn't have it for a while, and we used to go up to my Aunt Anna's and watch
Yeah.
television and watch the McCarthy hearings. So
Oh,
that
really?
was, yeah. Every day, Mom and Patsy and I went up there and watched the McCarthy hearing. No. Well, we used to have a pony, and we used to, I guess my encounter would be riding on the back of a pony, standing up. And her name was Beauty. And I would stand up on a pony and ride. They would lead me. Yeah. I would like to be remembered as a kind person, a person who loved her family, a person who really cared about people. And I'd like to think of myself as a person that wanted the best for everyone. I don't, not just for myself, but I wish that people would be, that I could be all the things I want to be to other people. I want to be remembered that way.